It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today. I'm B-Ron. Alongside me is my main man, Marsh. Good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm good, B. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. I'm glad to have you here with me for another excellent week of SimWorld today and SimWorld action and everything else going on in the sun here. And let's get into some of the things, shall we? Starting first with the Pro Bowl that happened yesterday.
If you want to call it that,
Uh,
sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's Pro Bowl time again, and it was a continuation of what we've seen over the last couple of seasons with the Pro Bowls. It's the skills challenge and all that stuff, but really the highlight, if you will, was the game itself. Again, flag football style, and it was a shootout, as most flag football games tend to be. The NFC ended up winning it 64-59, but that's worse. But let's not beat on the bush here any longer. I'm tired of doing it. um, is it time for the Pro Bowl to go, or what could be done to improve it, change it, that sort of thing? Because it's gone through a lot of various different changes over its lifetime.
Well, football is a tough game to create an all-star element
Yeah,
for just because of the amount of physicality that the actual game has. I understand where the NFL is going in creating a flag football game as their showcase, but it feels as if there's just at some point where we're just getting negative returns on the investment. The skills challenges are great. It gives the players an opportunity to showcase who they are as football players in much less, disadvantageous situations and less
yeah,
likelihood for injury. But it's only a matter of time until something happens in the Pro Bowl, just like something happened years ago that led to the change away from a lot of the skills elements that we've seen up to, including today. So to me, I'm more disinterested in the NFL Pro Bowl because everybody makes it. They are so committed to making this NFL like roster where there's three quarterbacks and the quarterbacks are Gardner Minshew and C.J. Stroud. And look, no disrespect to either of those guys, but that's not really the elite of the elite. And if you look around, we just got the announcement about the NBA All Stars. Those 12 guys are
yeah,
deserving of
yeah.
being
Agreed.
there. And when I sit here and say, oh, the Pro Bowl, and certainly you're not going to have, Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, should they be good enough to make it at the Pro Bowl, just based off the fact that they're playing in the Super Bowl. But it just loses its luster to me when I look and say, okay, Gardner Minshew is a Pro Bowl quarterback. Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. It's not a Pro Bowler.
No,
And so I think
no.
that's the root of the issue that they have here. We might as well just throw Joe Flacco in there as well if we're just going to be giving it out left and right, not only because of how many guys don't go, like Trevor Lawrence didn't go because of injury, but also because we've invited so many guys, it just has lost the novelty of it, and the actual
Mhm.
recognition of making a Pro Bowl game is just not the same as it is in the other major sports.
Yeah, I think that for me anyway, I agree a lot with what you're saying. It's hard to do it because football is so physical. It's not like basketball or anything like that. You could say hockey is very similar in that regard in terms of the physicality of it, but um football is difficult to do also again for because there's so many more players on the team and on the field at one time too, I think. But, maybe you'd go back to having it be after the Super Bowl, and that way you would get your Mahomeses, your Purdy's, your Jacksons, whoever the top elites of those teams are. Give them some weeks off to recover. Maybe you don't even make the game a regulation game. Maybe you move it to like 10-minute quarters or 5-minute quarters. I don't care. But if you want to do a full game like that, maybe shorten the game up. That way it's not a full 15-minute game.
Well,
That's
look, I
something to
don't. I
consider
think
too.
why are we doing it at the end of the season? I mean, you look at every other sport; it is in the middle of the season, and there's good reason for.
Mhm.
But now the NBA is a little bit after the midway
Yeah.
point, but there's reason for that because the players and the teams are so entrenched in the regular season that you go to this event and it gives your entire roster a chance to reset. And notice, particularly in the
That makes
excuse me, in
sense.
the
Yeah.
NBA, noticeably better basketball after the All Star break because players and teams have had a chance to physically and mentally reset. In the NFL or MLB, you immediately after the All Star break, you jumping in to the trade deadline and then all the way through the pennant races. That's
Yeah.
meaningful baseball being played. The NFL doesn't necessarily need to reset, but one of the biggest challenges that we see is the attrition of players in the NFL,
Yeah.
particularly, this influx of Thursday night games that, get worse and worse every single week as the season drags on because guys are going
Yeah.
on less and less rest. Why are we reserving this week, this bye week, this extra bye week for teams just making the Super Bowl? I'm not advocating for the Super Bowl to be the week after the conference championship games. I do like that we have that bye week. It allows the smaller bumps and bruises to heal and get more fully uh, healthy rosters. But why can't
Mhm.
we just put this in the middle of the season? Put it at week like 7 or 8 or 9. We got 9 or 17 weeks, so an 8 or 9. Drop it in there. It serves itself as a bye week. We don't have to play all these stupid games that we're playing in terms of a flag football game. It could be a skills challenge, and maybe, like you're saying, it's an abbreviated flag football game of some kind. But it
Yeah.
gives your elite players a chance to be showcased. You're not going to have guys either sitting out because they're playing in the Super Bowl or sitting out because you're Trevor Lawrence saying, I'm not going to go to, he's in Jacksonville, to Orlando isn't that far of a trip, but
Yeah.
he's not going to go to Orlando just because Lamar Jackson isn't going to come down to Baltimore just because right after he gets defeated in the AFC Championship game. Let the big players actually go to the Pro Bowl, make it a worthwhile event. Because if I'm just going to see Gardner Minshew and CJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield there, it's not the Pro Bowl. It's not the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of putting it in the middle of the season. Give everybody a mandatory bye week. Like you said, make it week 7 or 8 or whatever. Now that they're playing 17 games in a season or whatever, put it in that part of the season. Everybody gets a little bit of a break, and they get a chance to recover and heal and play out the rest of the season proper. But I there's a lot. I think this is always a tough discussion to have because there's so many different ways you could go with it in terms of how you go about getting the Pro Bowl back to some sort of relevancy, whatever it is, and it's all them to figure it out. I don't know how they do it, but we'll see how they get all figured out, I guess, in time. I don't know if they do it though. Maybe it's time to just kind of like wipe the game away and just go back to a skills challenge week or whatever. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. But let's get into some SimWorld prep talk, shall we? Because we have a coach that is potentially, not potentially, but he's on the hot seat, and I personally, I didn't see it coming. Coach Brett Lee of Southeast Select. The team is I don't wanna say they're underperforming because I feel like with the losses they've had, the big losses they've had between losing Trey Turner coming in season and then during the season, Olvin Carballo, losing them and having to kinda retool around the players they have, I think that is a problem, but Coach Lee, like I said, on the hot seat, is it time for a change for Southeast Select in your opinion, Mars? What do you think?
This screams of an organization that has become so accustomed to being at or near the top, particularly because of elite talent, that the moment a impactful or less than successful run happens to them, they are ready to cut and run. They're 6-6. Before this 2-game losing streak, they were 6-4. Really good start to the season. They don't have Trey Turner, as you mentioned, and without Trey Turner, the ceiling on this team is much different, particularly when we haven't seen the type of outside development of guys like Gabe Pope that we were hoping for, the departure eventually, the injury to Orvin Carballo. But to decide that, hey, we're 6-6 now, and maybe it's time we move on from the coach that got us to back-to-back championship games, albeit they lost, is just disappointing to me. Now, if he's preparing to move himself on or eyeing a promotion to SimWorld U, okay, we could talk about that. But if we're just gonna cut and run from a coach that is taking you through multiple playoff runs after the first stretch of less than perfect success, it screams of an organization that just is uncomfortable with the steps that need to be taken to build and grow a team over time and not be presented with a elite talent like they have with Trey Turner.
Especially considering the fact too, Marsh, that we're talking about the coach of the most wins in Similar Prep history. He's 47-21. That's almost 70%. It's insane. You don't see coaches with that kind of pedigree and success level be like on the hot seat like this. I don't understand where this is coming from. In my opinion, this is ridiculous to kind of have him be in in this position. Now, maybe that's something we don't know that's going on that we don't know, and if so, so be it. But because the one of the biggest things, though, from what from what we understand, though, is we know that Coach Lee is the kind of coach who, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, he's not one to make a lot of changes during games and that kind of thing. But maybe that's where this is coming from. Just I don't know.
Look, if they're gonna move on from Coach Lee, and we saw this in Gotham 5 where they
Hmm.
had the lack of this. If you're going to move on from a coach, you better have a damn good idea of where you're going next. And you look around the league at some of these changes that have made, Lakeshore Drive moving Loveless out and inserts Coach Vance. There was confidence internally that he could do it, obviously self-confidence, but also within the organization that he's going to be able to
Yeah,
step into
yeah.
Lakeshore Drive and lead them to talent. If you're Southeast Select and you decide to move on, you better have a home run hire already lined up because it doesn't get much better than coming within one win of being champions 2 years in a row.
100% agree with you. It does not get any better than that. And it sounds like things aren't getting any better for Gulf Coast at the moment as well. They're playing really good this season. We know we've talked about that previous times before here on the show. And if you're paying attention to the season, you know it. They're playing real well. But they've been no stranger to controversy throughout their time this season in Snow Prep. Coach Heesh came in to the season talking a big talk, backing it up so far. But now there's cheating allegations from SimWorld Atlantis, who they played back in January 2nd. Gulf Coast ended up winning that game, but there's, like I said, allegations around them and cheating being involved and all that stuff. And it's str- the reaction to it last night was, expected. I think people were saying it's strange to hear it come out now. Now it's been a month and that kind of thing. But personally, I'm of the mindset that these things take time, and I don't think you would accuse someone of something like this if you didn't have proof. If it takes a month to gather that sort of evidence or whatever, that's what it takes. You're not just gonna come out and sit and bash me like that willy nilly. That's just
Right. Well,
my thoughts on that.
when news comes out is not always, as you mentioned, instantaneously after it occurs. So I think
Right.
you hit the nail on the head to say, well, this was a month ago. Why we? It was a month ago that it started, but
Yeah.
we as a league and we as the public really didn't know anything about it until now here, February 5th or 5th currently, but 4th when it came out.
Yeah.
That it's aside. I think that everything that we saw from both the article that was posted by SB Live and the tweet from Samuel Charles, all of that sounds as if the league is very much within this. So I'm not going to make a knee jerk reaction to say, well, it definitely happened because of this or it definitely didn't happen because of that, because I think in due time the actual outcome of it will come out. But I think it's fascinating that that at least somebody in the league decided this was the right time to leak this information to the media. These types of things just don't come out without a league wanting people to know. And in this
Yeah.
case, the league clearly has some desire for something to come out, or at least there's somebody within that have a desire to have this information be public and not just be an investigation that comes and goes without anybody finding out about it. That to me is what's most fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that, there's alleged, recording, listening devices from according to Samuel Charles anyway, those kind of things again are interesting because again, that kind of thing comes with time. You're not just gonna have that out there as a knee-jerk reaction to just because you lost to the team doesn't mean they're cheating. What do you mean?
Hmm.
That's weird.
Exactly.
So, like, I get where everyone's coming from in their initial reaction, but like you, Marsh, I'm not gonna make a knee-jerk reaction as well. That's not how I roll. I'll wait for things to play out, and we'll see where it goes from there. But look, thank you guys for listening to SimWorld today and watching. We appreciate you as always. Remember, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notify bell to make sure you know when videos go live for you. And remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.